The arena was quiet except for the soft rustle of wind brushing against the wooden rails. Dust floated gently in the golden light of the evening sun. In the center stood a young colt untouched, uncertain, his muscles tense with instinct. Across from him stood Jimmy Anderson, a cowboy whose life had been shaped by horses and whose heart beat in rhythm with their spirit. Jimmy was not just a colt-starting champion. Titles and trophies sat somewhere behind him in memory, but what truly defined him was something much deeper, his belief in partnership. To Jimmy, a horse was never a tool, never a machine built for riding or winning. A horse was a mind, a heart, a soul searching for understanding. The colt snorted, his ears flicking back and forth, measuring the man before him. Instinct told him to run. Survival had taught him to distrust, but Jimmy did not move quickly. He didn't force. He didn't demand. Instead, he stood quietly, breathing slow, allowing the colt to see him not as a predator, but as a presence. Horses are really amazing at how much they will be a partner, Jimmy often said. They try a crazy amount. And I want to try that same amount back for them. Those weren't just words, they were a promise. Jimmy had learned long ago that the meeting between human and horse is not about dominance, it is about conversation. Horses speak in the language of pressure and release, of energy and timing. They read body language the way humans read books. A raised shoulder, a softened gaze, a shift in breath, these things matter. He took one step forward. The colt shifted his weight, ready to bolt. Jimmy stopped. That pause was the beginning of trust. Minutes passed like hours. The world outside the arena seemed to fade. There was no audience, no applause, no expectation, only two beings trying to understand each other. Jimmy lowered his eyes slightly, softening his posture. The colt's breathing slowed. His head dropped just an inch. That inch meant everything. In that small movement lived a decision. The colt stepped forward. It was not dramatic. It was not loud. But it was brave. Jimmy felt it in his chest. The moment when fear begins to transform into curiosity. He extended his hand slowly. The colt stretched his neck, nostrils flaring, and touched Jimmy's fingertips. Connection. It was electric and gentle at the same time. Some people think training a horse is about control. Jimmy knew better. True horsemanship is about responsibility. When a horse chooses to trust you, it is giving you something fragile and sacred. You can break it in seconds, or you can protect it for a lifetime. The first touch became the first step. The first step became a circle. The circle became a conversation. Jimmy asked lightly. The colt responded. When the colt tried, even in confusion, Jimmy released pressure instantly. Thank you, his timing said. That's right, horses don't need anger, they need clarity. Jimmy had seen what happened when people rushed the process: tight ropes, loud voices, fear-driven obedience. The horse might comply, but inside something would shut down, and Jimmy refused to win that way. He believed that if a horse gave 100% effort, even if that effort was clumsy, unsure, or small, then the human owed 100% patience in return. Days passed. The colt learned to accept the saddle. The first time the leather touched his back, he stiffened. Jimmy didn't fight him. He allowed movement, guided it, redirected energy without punishment. Slowly, the colt realized he was not being trapped. He was being guided. The first ride came at sunrise. Jimmy swung gently into the saddle, settling softly, like a bird landing on water. The colt held his breath. So did Jimmy. Try, Jimmy whispered. The colt stepped forward. One step. Then another. The world did not explode. The sky did not fall. The weight on his back did not hurt him. It moved with him. By the time the sun had fully risen, horse and rider were walking as one. Not perfect, not polished, but together. That was the magic. Jimmy often reflected on why horses try so hard for humans. They are prey animals. Their survival depends on awareness, sensitivity, and response. Yet when treated with fairness, they offer loyalty beyond reason. It humbled him. Because partnership is not about what you can make someone do, it is about what they choose to give you. In competitions, crowds would cheer as Jimmy guided colts through complex pattern stops, turns, transitions, all within hours of first contact. People called it skill, talent, mastery. Jimmy called it listening. He listened to the flick of an ear, the tightening of a jaw, the rhythm of hooves. He adjusted himself before asking the horse to adjust. He held himself accountable for confusion. If something goes wrong, he would say, I look at myself first. That mindset separated him from many. He remembered one particular colt who fought harder than the rest. A dark bay with fire in his eyes. Nothing seemed to work at first. Every request was met with resistance. Many would have labeled that horse difficult. Jimmy saw fear. Instead of pushing harder, he slowed down. He spent hours just standing in the pen, no rope, no demands. Just presence. On the third day, the colt walked up and rested his head against Jimmy's shoulder. That moment meant more than any trophy. Because when a horse decides you are safe, you have been trusted with something priceless. Years passed and Jimmy's hair grew streaked with gray, but his philosophy never changed. He still stepped into arenas with the same quiet respect. He still believed that horses try a crazy amount. And he still tried just as hard back. To Jimmy, the meeting of minds between human and horse is one of the purest relationships in the world. There are no lies, no hidden agendas. Horses reflect truth. If you are anxious, they feel it. If you are angry, they mirror it. If you are calm and fair, they soften. In a world full of noise, horses demand authenticity. And perhaps that is why Jimmy loved them so deeply. Because with a horse, you cannot pretend. You must show up honestly. You must earn every step. And when that partnership finally clicks, when horse and human move together as if sharing one thought, it feels like magic. Not the loud, flashy kind, but the quiet kind that settles in your bones. The colt from that first evening grew into a strong, willing horse. Years later, someone asked Jimmy what made the difference. He smiled. He tried, Jimmy said. And I tried back. That was all. In the end, the secret was never about control. It was about meeting in the middle. Two hearts. Two minds. One partnership.